Welcome
Hi.
to my star pupils out there. We have Ron. We're only going to use first names, Ron and Sharon, who are my star pupils. And other people that are viewing it are looking at it at another time, not particularly at this time. So you guys are my model students, as if you were being sketched. So we're going to review session 1 very shortly. And we talked about something that's very important. First of all, I'm going to have 15 minutes. I'm going to now scale it into time segments so that we get everything covered. I would like to be on full screen, but I don't see that. Here I am. Okay, so here I am. All right, well, welcome to session 2 again. Okay, I want to introduce my 2 star pupils, Sharon and Ron. And I don't know if you could see them at all, but they're watching and they're being vigilant, and I'd like to have them participate. So I need to put them on share. There they are. Hi, everybody. That's Sharon and that's Ron. Well, what we do is we're going to review session 1 very quickly and go right into something a little ahead of time for session 3. But in review of session 2, I introduced myself, Marcy, and I am the facilitator. You are the artist and the inspiration. And I promise you that if you persevere with me and take this series of classes, you will be able to not only create beautiful pictures, but enjoy the color and enjoy the reality of what you made, not judged, and the worst judge of anybody is usually themselves. So we're here to erase the technological approach to art, to the color in line approach to coloring, and the mentality that you can't draw a straight line and you can't draw a stick figure. You can draw, you will draw, and you're going to be free of anything that you used to know. So let's get started. All right, we're going to review what we did last week, which was the SISS. You all remember the SISS, and I repeat this every week because it's something that isn't just up there for you to look at and not pay attention to. You need, when you draw, when you doodle, when you color, when you map out, when you finally get something that looks like a real thing, this is all going to play into your mind. So let's go over it. Okay, let's go. SISS. It's
Marcy, excuse me, you need to move the book over a little towards your face because it's not all on the picture.
Well, I'm supposed to be on your full screen, not you. So,
No. I'm saying your book is not. Now it is. It's good now. Perfect.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
The SISS, which is my method, and it's called the SIS. Call me your sister, art director, sis, whatever, however you want to do it. But eventually I'll come up with a proper name. Right now I call it free art. So let's take the S. The S was shape. We are starting to notice, and we had an exercise, remember, Ron? We had an exercise where we looked around the room and we started noticing things of different shape. Do you remember some of the shapes you saw around the room, or maybe it's the same room? Ron, what are some of the shapes you came up with?
A lovely art glass, shaded well and beautiful. It's a drinking wine glass. The other ones are a shape of my daughter with her head bent over, showing us a scar from a brain tumor. And what other shapes do we have? Oh, there's a pretty tree in green and red colors and orange and black roots and shape, black roots, black stem in the tree is beautiful. It's almost like an octopus coming around.
Okay. So the wine glass, the artwork done by your daughter, and the other art piece, they all have shapes. You saw the roundness in them. You're advancing me because now you're talking about the color and the shading and all that, which we get into. But you're mindful now of the different shapes. The door in your room, the frame around the door, the vases, that everything is obviously not the same shape, or we would be living in a really boring world. So it has shapes. And then we went into an eye, which was the intensity. There were some things that were darker and other things that were
Lighter.
Correct. So that's the intensity of what you're seeing. We had an exercise in intensity where we took our whatever it was, we went very light, and darker, dark, and then finally dark. So those are all the intensities of how you hold your pencil, and there's certain areas in the deep part of a flower that's going to be darker than the petal part of the flower and where the light's hitting. So you're already mindful of intensity. Another one was size. When you look around your room or outside or out the window, you see things that are a different size. Things are taller, shorter, fatter, squattier, larger, thinner, fatter, on and on and on. So we know what that is already. But now we're going to be mindful of that. We're going to keep that as and then the last one, which was shade. And this is one that's going to help you be the artist that you aspire to be, and that I promise you, and I never break a promise, that you're going to be finished with this class. You're going to have not one, not two, maybe three beautiful pieces that you're going to go, I can't believe I did it. You're going to do it. So the last one is very important. That's shade. I want you to notice where the light's coming in on my face. The light, I have a window to my right, it's probably your left. But this side of my face is what? Give me some adjectives about this side of my face. It's brighter.
Lighter, lighter.
Come on, Ron. It's whiter, right? And this side of my face, same face. I didn't change people. This side is darker. So this is a good lesson. When light comes in, where the light hits, it's lighter. Where it shadows, and that's the masters who did all these beautiful things. They did a lot of the shading, and it's suggestive of depth. So then we went over shape, and we took our pens and our paper or our crayons, and we just did shapes. No rhyme, no reason. There's circles, there's squares, and we held our pen. Remember how we held it? We didn't hold it like we're going to write. We held it like we were going to draw. So did you out there do any shapes?
Yep.
Okay, wait, hold it. We're going to look at everything. Our class is going to be done in order from now on. I'm going to have my introduction, a brief review, a question and answer period from my students, samples of what they've done, and going on to the next step. So the first step was introduction. The second one was SISS. The third one, which is tomorrow, is going to be a review again. We're going to show color. We're going to do two things. We're going to do fantasy doodles and serene scribble. And these are exercises, not because I think that you're a first grader. These are exercises to free your mind up. We're going to turn up our music tomorrow. We're going to doodle and color, hold our pen correct. We're going to do shading, size. Tomorrow, we're going to have our cloud study where we saw the different clouds. We're going to color them in and map. Remember the mapping where we use our pencil or our drawing implement to map out how we draw. So are you all with me so far?
Yep.
Great. All I want you to do, instead of yelling out anything, I can see you. I have it programmed, so give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down if something isn't clear. when I ask for a question, just go. Now, I've done some research on how to teach online. So I'm getting there. Remember, this is my maiden voyage as well as yours. So bear with me. We're going to work this out, but just think, I want you to think of how easy this is going to be when we are in real time, real life, when we meet at the temple and we can actually see then and there what you're doing instead of waiting a week and reviewing and all that. So are you going to stay with me? I love you guys. All right. So we have the shape. We did size. I did some things that were large, some things that were small. I had a good time with it. I became very free, and I still love doing it because that has taught me to be free. No one is here in my art studio to judge me. No one is there in your room to judge you. And no one, when we meet, is going to be looking over at your paper saying, Ron, that's a messy doodle. You didn't stay in the line when you doodled. Or Sharon, what do you mean you didn't shade that? Don't you know the light is, nobody cares. Nobody wants to see your work. You're in charge of your own progress and your own placement. Then we went into shade. And I used my chalk and I did some shading. And then remember, I love to work with chalk and I'm hoping you will too. I just married up some of the shading and I love it. And that in itself looks pretty good. And the last, which I consider the most important, well, no, that was shade. And we talked about doodles. So what I did is I doodled with a magic marker. Can you see this? Looks pretty good, right? It's just, dude, and somebody would say, oh, wow, that's lovely. I took my magic marker and I went like this and like this and like that and like that. And I made things. And that's what we're going to look at tomorrow. Then I took chalk and crayon and pencil and just colored it in. This is an exercise in session 3 for tomorrow to create and use your color and start to blend. And then we're going to map. So lesson 2, we went over lesson 2. You're okay with that. And then we had a little bit of time where Sharon brought that great big leaf. And we saw, you have it again, Sharon? Yes. Okay. So let's look at Sharon's leaf. And Sharon is going to describe color, intensity, shape, shade. Go ahead, Sharon, you're on.
So this, with the mapping, Marcy taught me to look at it differently. And she said, it looks like an oval to her. And I started writing out or drawing an oval and then placing the points, looking at it and looking at the shading and looking at the color and looking at, you know, turning it and seeing which way I liked it better and just looking at it, really looking. And the main point is to look, really look at something when you're drawing.
Well said, Sharon. Look at the size, the shape, the intensity, and the color. You've got it. That's a perfect. Ron, did you look at anything that you want to share with us? Thank you, Sharon.
The only thing I have nearby is a carrot.
Okay. Talk to us about the carrot.
It's the size of maybe 8 inches.
Okay.
The shape.
Now hold it up to the light, somewhere in the light. Okay. Do you see one side is darker than the other?
Yes.
Okay. So that would be the shading. Now, is any part of the carrot darker in intensity or lighter by the tip or by the area you're holding? A carrot is pretty monotone. A carrot really doesn't have tones in it. Is there anything else you can look at where you're sitting that has shading, tone, like the leaf Sharon had that has variables on it? Anything like that?
It's right.
Don't worry. And just searching for the item, Sharon, and just looking, you're training your mind to look for things that have variables.
Here's one off my coloring book.
Okay.
It appears to be a flower, and the brightness comes in from the left, and the intensity seems to be all over, all coming from the left to the right.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, good enough. Thank you both. Thank you. So now you got 2 thumbs up. So let's, thank you for sharing that. You understand. Are there any questions about any of the shape, the intensity, the shading, and the size? Any questions about lesson 2?
No.
What I'd like you to do is when you do any of the homework, and tomorrow you're going to have fun time with your homework, is I'd like you to keep the SISS somewhere near your tools. Don't tell what they are. I want you to keep, with the first session, I had a hard time remembering what the last S was. But be mindful of the shape, the intensity, the size, and the shading. Shape, intensity, size, and shading. I've tried to make it as easy as I can on my students. Now, you guys aren't the first ones I had this program done, and I did it with children. And I showed you my grandson, who was 8 years old, what he came up with at the end. Imagine, as adults, how you see things. So keep at it, and I thank you very much. Now, let's progress into, did you do any coloring?
Yes.
All right, Sharon, you want to share? Sharon has made a commitment, everybody out there who views this, has made a commitment to stay with this because she's very excited over it. And her reason for staying with it is because she can't draw a straight line. She doesn't know anything, and she is determined to persevere. So Sharon, share with us your coloring.
As a child, I remember coloring, and my teacher would say, stay in the lines, stay in the lines. And so now I have the freedom of going all over the lines, and it's been fun doing. So I used pens, liquid pens.
Closer up to the screen so Ron and I can see it a little bit better. It's gorgeous. It's very pretty. I'm not critiquing it, and I'm not saying that you need to. I just think I'm looking at it in terms of an artist's eyes, and I see that it's lovely. Are you happy with it?
I'm happy with it because it was fun to do, and that's the whole thing, is I need fun in my life.
Did you feel free when you did it?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Well, then we're halfway there. Okay, Ron, you want to share your coloring?
I didn't do one. I wasn't aware that that was part of it.
Okay, next week, you're right, you joined late. Next week, I want you to take any page from your book, any page from your coloring book. You don't have to finish it. And Sharon, it looks like yours isn't finished either.
No, it's not finished.
All right.
But I like the light. I like the contrast of not coloring everything in.
All right.
I like having some of it.
Ron, this is what I showed of what I colored. There are lines in the leaves. Can you see them?
Yes.
I didn't stay in the line. I blended. I went outside the line. Created, for me, I'm very happy with this. When I finish this, I'm going to mount it on black paper, smooth the edges. This is where your postcards and your cards will come in at a later date, where we put our own touches around it. We make a collage, and it becomes a piece of art. So hang in there. That's mine. Here are some samples of coloring. Ron, what materials do you have that you're coloring with?
I have the coloring, parts of the coloring book. I have all the crayons and white chalk and pens.
Okay. All right, today I want to show you one object done many different ways to give you some ideas of the color wheel and creative coloring. Now, these are all inside the line, and this book was not my program, but someone else's program to show you how it looks when it's colored. And I use the word perfectly, which is not allowed in my class. I don't want perfection. If you learned anything else from me and you take my second class, which is where we really define, do not be perfect, because I'm certainly not. And I don't expect my students to be better than me. So, with a lot of fun in your life and a lot of ideas, we have the color wheel of all the colors. And if we overlap, we've got this beautiful green. We have the oranges and the reds. And this is to show you what can be done. Something else I want to share with you. When we color or we see color, the average eye would take this piece and color, 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 color. This is more of what I'm trying to get you to do, is to create your own image of what you see on that coloring book. Obviously, this person decided that the dragonfly was the main thing and nothing else mattered. How do you see that, Sharon? Do you understand what they
Yeah, their focus. They changed their focus.
Exactly.
But you need the contrast of the two colors to make it look three-dimensional.
Now, if I were doing this, I possibly would create a lighter wing, a darker. I would give it a little more dimension, but they're not in my class. This was another class, but the example is good. And another example is somebody just going crazy with color and having a lot of fun. So we have our work cut out for us. Eventually, we're going to do our own kaleidoscope. We're going to map out our own kaleidoscope and have fun coloring inside of it. And the first 3 or 4 lessons are going to be about freedom. Now, what are some of the freedoms we have? Freedom of speech. Name some come on, class, name some freedoms. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom, we can dress how we want to.
Eat whatever you want to eat.
Unfortunately, during this pandemic, we're eating a lot of what eating what we want. So
sleeping when you want to sleep, getting up when you want to get up.
Right, and Ron, you have a lot of freedoms. You can go and come as you please. You can sit at your desk and do what you want. Well, today, we're going to add another freedom. Does an apple have to be red?
Nope.
No.
What about if you made a purple apple? Does the grass have to be green? Suppose you wanted to do orange and shading in orange. We could do it because we have freedom. This class is all about being artistically free, using your imagination. Do you think Picasso and Monet, and do you think that they thought that they weren't free when they created their realism or they already had this idea that I'm trying to give you. We love their work. Art history tells us that a lot of people never stayed in the
lines.
You got it. They never stayed in the lines. You're learning all of this at your age. Because I only teach now, I only teach seniors and adults. Children is a different class. So you're learning at this age that you not only have freedom of speech, freedom to wear what you want, freedom, as Sharon said, to eat what you want, freedom to sit at your desk. Ron has freedom to go in and out as he pleases. You also have freedom to see color as you want to see it. Remember, you are the artist. So, are there any questions or anything that you have so far, or you want to find out exactly what we're doing tomorrow?
Find out what.
Okay.
Find out.
Okay. We dream in color. You already have the freedom in your subconscious. We describe things according to shade and brightness. The tall building, the short person, the red shirt, the very bright light, the restaurant that's too dark. We already have that in our vocabulary. So putting it all together for this class is going to be easy. We're only on lesson 2, and we've already learned so much. And hopefully you've already opened your brain to free thinking in art. Hopefully. Give me a thumbs up, kids. Okay, thank you. All right. So we're going to talk today about inspiration. Where did these artists that we learned about, and we travel thousands of miles to go to museums and look at their art, where did they get their inspiration from? Nature? From people around them. If they were drawing portraits, it's the people they loved. The guy that cut his ear off, I can't think of it.
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh. Love with this model who betrayed him, and he cut his ear off in desperation, but he drew her, and then he went into the angry blue stage, and as a graduation present after class 9 or 10, where hopefully we'll be able to go to a museum together as a group from my class, and we're going to look at art as we see it from this class, and we're going to be able to discuss it and have a whole different idea of what it looks like. So that's something I was going to tell you further down, but I can't keep a surprise. So where do people get their inspiration from? I'm going to share where I get my inspiration from. I get my inspiration because I love orchids, I love flowers, I love gardening, and I think that's why Ron's wife, Karen, and we connected because we first met and we're sharing our gardens and so forth. And so I would like you to do for, it's too soon for tomorrow, but I have folders. I just bought a pack of folders and I labeled them inspiration. And then I have trees and flowers. I have abstract. And I have catalogs that I keep because I don't care if I tear them up. So let's go over what I consider inspirational. Inspiration. That's what this class is about too. To be inspired, to create, to be free. And it's one of the benefits of this class, and I know I'm talking too much right now, but I have 5 more minutes left of my talking, is relaxing and fun. So my inspiration, these are some of the things that I cut out and ripped off and whatever. I got online and I Googled clouds. I'm shaking because I had too much coffee. I Googled clouds. And I took my phone and I took a snapshot of the clouds. I thought that was pretty inspirational. Why? Do you see the blending?
Yes.
You see how the light is obviously coming, look at my, I hate to use my finger, but you see how the light is obviously coming from here? And so whoever painted this did very light here, and you see how it gets darker here?
Yes.
Okay, so now you see how the light came. You see shape. You see this has every component that I'm trying to teach you. This one, there's light here. Do you see that it's ever so light from here? You see light? Every picture that you're going to see has that. Okay, that's one thing that gave me inspiration. I love this. I just think that I look at it, she's got pink hair, the whatever she's drinking is red, and what makes this attractive to someone like me? Because it's thinking outside of the
box.
Correct. And you're going to be able to do this too. On the other side is something I love. It's very true to life, but it together, it's a blend. Do you see how the leaves on the peonies are not perfectly mapped out? They're not perfect. They have a shade to them.
Yes.
Okay, those are inspiration. Would you like to see some more to get some? I found this very inspirational because it just is autumn somewhere. I think it's in Tokyo. And the light is coming from here. this way, do you see how things are lighter here? And you see the darker and here in this area. But when you look at it, if you didn't have my class, you would look at it, you wouldn't have seen that, right? Okay, so that's it. Now that's trees and landscaping, and I have much more. And then I also have something I call abstract. What's in here? The Chinese were way ahead of us. They did things that, this is kind of Monet looking, kind of, they're not really real, the perspective is off, but you know what it is though, correct? It's got little lines and circles and everything, but what I want you to see on this is shape. These are little shapes. Do you see how he did a round cup in front of the bottle and it's all about shape? You see, here's another shape, here's another shape, it's another, these are all components. This is about shape. It's my job to expose you to other things that are done to drive home what I'm trying to teach you and show you on things that are already done. Ron, you get that?
Yes, indeed.
Okay. On the back of this is line drawings. Okay, that was inspirational. And I have some other things that I think is important to share with you. I love this. And yesterday I had the wonderful privilege of spending some time with Sharon, with Karen Plotkin. Karen and I have known each other ever since I've been in Naples. And she's a member of our temple and was the previous executive director. And I adore her and I love her groundedness and so on. And I had the privilege of touring her little art space. And she told me about a Lotus mural. And I hope she gets to review this section because it'll be available through the temple. But I thought this was very inspirational in one of the magazines I found. It's kind of a lotus flower. It's not perfect. It's not, you see the lines that they did here? And Sharon, you were so right when you said you enjoyed seeing space and not finishing the color. Do you see how that flower is not completely colored in?
Right.
So and it dripped. Something dripped that they did, and that's okay too. It's the water off the leaf. Now that wasn't there. That's put in by the artist. So your imagination also is playing into this. And this one, which is nothing but a doodle gone bad. Instead of a doodle gone good, it's a doodle gone bad, but it's just shapes that got colored in. Can you all see that?
Yep.
And see how pretty it looks. And last is this thing that I found very, very lovely. Muted colors, blending. You once again see how it's not colored in.
Is that a watercolor?
Yes. So I've shown you a lot of things that are inspirational. We've gone over last week, and now I want to be all ears. I want to listen to your thoughts and anything you want to describe to me, any questions you have. How am I doing? Am I motivating you? I always dress in something colorful, and I try to get my best self in this pandemic situation going so that at least it's not hard to look at for an hour. So I'm going to start with Ron. Ron, you have a full 6 minutes to talk about how you see this class going for you so far, and we're only session 2.
Very inspirational, that word, and fun, and I look forward to the rest of them. And it's, you know, I would have never thought of trying to draw the clouds. I would have never thought of it, nor working with the flowers. So it's just different that I've never thought of, and normally I would say no to the class, but it's working past what I had thought I could do. So I'm looking forward to maybe, who knows what I can do, and that's the beauty of
That last sentence, because I'm going to record that. It's not, say what you, if you can say you never thought you could do it, but.
Yes, at first blush, when you said to do it, I said no, I didn't want to do it. But then after getting into the class at this level and earlier, I'm looking forward to the beauty of it, and then who knows, my artistic self will come out, and who knows, I might be painting for me, and put it up on my walls, as my walls are filled up here with beautiful paintings. So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more.
Ron, my students inspire me. That's where I get my excitement for the class. I don't want to get all mushy, but I couldn't do this. It's like a comedian that performs on stage. If they don't hear laughter and they don't hear applause, or they don't hear something, they get bummed out. They keep going, but you inspire me. So I'm going to add you to my folder of inspiration. Thank you.
Well, we were talking about doodling, and I started off with a circle. And all of a sudden, I don't know what my inspiration was, but to me, it looks like a foot hassock where you,
Absolutely.
I didn't have that in mind. I had no clue what I was going to do. I just kept doodling and shading and shaping, and just.
Did it evolve?
It just evolved. I had no clue. It was just freedom of playing. So that was fun. And next time, you keep talking about color. I love color, but sometimes an expression in black or gray and white is more interesting sometimes.
Okay, but once again, that's the way you perceive it. Now see, Ron or Shelley or Cynthia and the other people that follow the class may not find gray or anything, but if that's what you remember, there were blue periods, there were gray periods, there were color, and all the famous people that we aspire, to be like at some point, they had periods, and their psychological self. Art is an expression, just like poetry, just like filmmaking, just like anything else. So this is expressive art, this is free art, and the fact that you came up with a hassock or whatever you call it, reminds me of McKenzie Child.
I love McKenzie Child.
Well, maybe in your innermost self, see the ottoman?
Yeah.
Maybe in your innermost self, this is the chair you hope to have someday.
I actually have a chair I want to decoupage. It's a ladder, it's a chair, and I have been staring at it for 2 years, and this is my goal. Maybe I'll do something with it. It's just an unfinished piece of wood that I need to do something with.
If you can see this ottoman here, that reminds me of what you just did.
Yep.
You see how they put polka dots and lines?
Yep. Yep.
All right, your assignment, Sharon, is going to be, now we're going to branch off. Now that I think you guys are ready to go forward, I want you to take that sketch. I want you to decorate it, not use any reference, but use all of your tools, your chalk, your crayons. I want you to use shapes, different sizes, and decorate that ottoman for your homework for, not tomorrow, but for the following week. So put that on your things to do list. That is going to be so much fun for you.
Yeah, it would be. It would be.
So
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Any questions so Ron, for tomorrow, we're going to talk about the clouds, and I want you to bring, and if you haven't done it, I want you to bring tomorrow. I want you to take, and tomorrow we're going to talk about our doodling. That's going to be very important to the process, to the end result. Mapping is going to have to wait until tomorrow because that's not part of lesson 2, remember. But I have, and I want you to write this down. Tomorrow we're going to do the 3 stages of mapping. Can you see me at my easel or no?
No.
And I'll bring my easel to you. Tomorrow, we're going to do the 3 stages of mapping. You remember my vase. The first stage is shape. The second thing that we're going to do in our mapping is connecting our shapes. I've connected, and I'm using them like this so you can see the direction that they go in, the different shapes on my object. I connected them. And the last one that you're going to learn tomorrow is defining those shapes. Now I'm going to show you the object that I'm working on, that I'm going to work with you, is this object. Do you see where I'm going?
Yep.
So we're going to continue tomorrow and enjoy what we've learned. If you want to review anything, I can't sit down because the stool is too low. My legs won't let me go down. So I will see you all tomorrow. Enjoy for tonight.
Thank you.
And remember, everything has, and you could see my studio and some things that I've done in here. And tomorrow, we're going to connect our shapes. We're going to review SISS, right? We're going to see some doodling and coloring and your cloud coloring. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.